All right, so we're back outside for a little bit before it rains the rest of the day. And I got the M squared 2M9X back up here for temporary. I knew it worked good before when I had it in a different setup I was going to do, and then those plans got scrapped. So I just had to basically get a new boom to mast clamp and hardware from M squared. So I'll put that jet lube stuff on it so that I don't seize any of the bolts or anything for one day, maybe if I have to come down or something. Some of the elements got a little bit bent, not a major problem, but it kind of happens. But it'll still work just fine, I think. Let's kind of zoom out a little bit. So obviously you probably want more separation from an HF antenna to a VHF antenna than this, but for now I don't see really any interaction between the two antennas, and they're not more than maybe less than 3 feet apart. So I lowered the Mosley back down. It was mounted a couple feet up, which gave it about 7 foot of clearance. Now it's exactly 5 feet. I've weather sealed the feed point. Put some of that stuff around here where ABR Industries put their own heat shrink. I just put some more of the coax seal and that gooey tape like stuff, and then I did the same thing on the feed points. Got a little of that jet lube crap gets everywhere, so if you ever work with that gold jet lube, it gets on everything, but it comes off pretty easy, so it doesn't matter on this, but it's everywhere. So I also took some operators advice from the Facebook group on Mosley antennas, and I super glued these on. I really don't know if they're going to stay or not, but I had some Loctite super glue. These are like little caps that cover the elements. I don't really think there's really any harm if anything gets in there, but I guess it's better to have them. Some guy said they also taped them. I don't really know how they did that, unless they just put like black tape over this or something and taped it onto this block. So I might do that too, just because, but I'm hoping that Loctite super glue will hold those in as best as it can. It seems like they're on there, so that was one of the final touches. Yeah, let's take a look at the M squared though. So I got the Comet analyzer out for that because my rig expert doesn't do anything other than HF and 6 meter, so that's pretty good. Happy with that. We're looking at about 144.2 or something is where I would be using this, 144.205, so you can kind of see the sweep as you start to go up. Of course, this is a mono band for the weak signal lower portion, so you can see how higher it goes to 3-to-1 at 147.7. Could you use this for repeaters and simplex? Yeah, sure, in a pinch you could. I've actually hit some local repeaters when I had this up here before on a different scenario, but that's not what it's intended for. I built it for the weak signal. They come with 2 sets of elements, so as you can see, it's working exactly how it should. So that's absolutely outstanding as we go through that part of the band and even down into I think there's probably like an FT8 or maybe obviously an FT8, probably a CW and digital mode aspect down in this range. So it's really good. Probably gonna, when it's all said and done, this has a Type N. My IC9700 has a SO239. My plan is to cut this cable anyways because I already have 400 type cable going into my shack, and I'm going to use a lightning arrestor that's already there for that, so I'll just end up cutting a bunch of this off, and then I'll just put a solder on a PL259. I'm using an adapter right now, but it's working. At first it had a short, which I think I just didn't have this screwed in all the way. Now it doesn't have a short, so well, you can kind of see there's a little short. These are kind of junky connectors. They're Amazon type, and I don't think they're the greatest, and I think this analyzer, actually the connectors are starting to wear out a little bit on it too, so it has a small problem. That's why I don't use it for HF anymore. So it has a small problem. I think if I took this apart, I could probably replace this SO239 with a different one, and probably the problem would go away, but it's working good, so I got no issues with it. All right, the only thing left to do is obviously we got to get our vertical out, the Max 2000 optimizer. Get that put together. I don't know if I'll be able to put it up there or not because that's awfully high for me to do by myself. I'm not much of a heights person. I have a pipe over somewhere on the ground over there. I'll probably put it on top of that and stand it up against my kids' playground set so that it's up probably above that. And then that'll give me a good idea of SWR and stuff for that. I had an Antron 99 that I sold to a local CB guy, local operator. He was in dire need of an antenna, so it was the same scenario. I bought it new, just hooked it up and put it on that temporary pole and kind of leaned it up against that roof line of that playhouse. And I adjusted the rings, I think, very slightly. With 100 feet of cable, it tested perfect on channel 20 CB, which is where I'm going to want the IMAX too, because I'm going to use that for local CB operation. So channel 20 is our local channel. And then of course this little stacked 4-element beam, I want that to come down, and I want that to go up on the rotatable part for my simplex and 2-meter repeater work if I ever do any of that. And of course the Mako shooting star is going to come down. The Mosley will go at the base of the tower, right off the top of the mast coming out. Probably, I'm thinking this 2M9X will go below the IMAX towards the top of the mast. And then maybe somewhere in the middle, the little 4-element stacked. I also bought a rotary dipole for, you could use it for CB or 11 meter, or I'm sorry, CB or 10 meter. So I'm thinking I'm going to build that too when I get that probably tomorrow from DX Engineering. It comes out of South America is the company. I can't remember the name of it, but when I get it, I'll make a video of it and show it. It has the same principle here. It has kind of like the same idea what Mosley does, how you have your one element and it has like these insulating blocks, and then you connect your cable hot in one side, ground to the other, and it's on like a bar like this with a boom to mast clamp. And I'm going to use that for probably for CB when I want to do skip. I'll have something at least that's horizontally polarized. I know it doesn't have gain or anything, but being up like 65-70 feet in the air, it should do okay. Because I know eventually what would happen is when I want to do CB, I'm going to miss having that horizontal polarization. And even just being able to rotate it, there's going to be a null probably on that dipole somewhat. There'll be a null based on where it's oriented with the rotator. So once I figure out how it works, then I will be able to, pinpoint it. And also just looking at like signals coming in and S meters and stuff like that on the radios. So something's better than nothing, and it's very inexpensive. It was like $80, so I think that'll be cool. I bought an ABR Industries. It's a coax split, kind of like this, but it's individual, so it stops about 3 feet down with a female SO239. And then I have some RG213 I'll use with that. I may put a few mixed 31s on it. I don't know, or I may not. I have like a 3-foot piece that ABR Industries made for me that has 7 of the mixed 31s on it. I may just put that on after it and then connect my RG213 line to it. I don't know if I'll need it. Generally speaking, I probably won't need it. I could probably just coil up some cable like this, and then if I need it, I'll put it at the feed point where it goes in to the lightning arrestor. So that's the plan anyways. Things are kind of moving in motion. We got Thanksgiving coming up next week. Nothing's going to happen between now and then. The preceding Wednesday after Thanksgiving, which I think is the first week of December, that's when the installers are planning on coming out on a Wednesday. So hopefully, if everything goes right, I'll have the IMAX built by then. I'll have that dipole built. That should be super easy to build. After building this whole Mosley, I can easily build that because it's basically the same idea. So that'll be simple. It'll be fun too. I like doing that. It has on the element, it has one spot where a couple elements join together, and there's an area where you can lengthen and shorten. So obviously I'll have to lengthen it a little bit, and they give you the measurement, so it's ideally simple to do. So yeah, we'll get that going. the plan is for that, probably the Max 2000 optimizer would go at the top of the mast, obviously, it has to. And then maybe that dipole would go directly under that. And then maybe this 2M9X would go a few feet below. What I'll do is I'll probably put that dipole up a few feet above here just to see if there's any interaction. The one for CB, the single rotary dipole. And if there's not really any interaction, then a couple feet will probably be good. Usually VHF antennas don't cause too much distortion because they're, much higher in frequency. If I were to put that dipole here, it probably wouldn't be good, or a couple feet up or whatever. So my plan is to probably put the SolarCon at the top, that dipole directly under it, this a few feet under it, the stacked Yagi for 2 meter, the 4-element stacked Yagi a few feet under this 2M9X, and then this on the bottom, and that's it. So I'll have 1, 2, 3 antennas for HF, including 4 with that wire I have up there. So 4 HF antennas. Yes, I still call CB HF because it is technically HF in my eyes. And then I'll have one for weak signal, 2 meter, and one for the rest of it. So that's the plan anyways. Hopefully it all goes well. Really didn't notice much change moving this down to the base of the tripod, nor did I notice any change when I had the 2M9X. I actually had it like right here, which is like super close, and it didn't really change anything, nor did it change the 2M9X. So far so good. We'll see what happens. Dogs are going crazy. It's very wet and muddy and mucky, but they're having fun, so let them run. And then get the towel ready when we go in the house here so we can wipe the mud off of them. But soon enough, the younger one, the one that obviously she's kind of leading the charge. She's a female, and she's much younger than the other shepherd there. He's about 7 years old, but he's still very energetic, and they love to play together. So all right, if you like dogs, you'll enjoy it. If you don't, then you could care less about what I'm talking about my dogs. 73.